and from an undisclosed location. It's kind of weird sitting here in the studio actually doing a video show, um, especially because my camera, it's the first time in a long time I've actually used this camera, and I'm actually got on the side of my eye, I have the chat room open, but the video is also open because I can't pull it up here in OSB, but hey, we'll make it work. Hopefully you guys can all hear me, and if you can, great. If you can't hear me, please let me know so I can adjust. I spent a better part of the morning just trying to get this stuff set up. I have a new mixer in my studio and all this stuff, and it's just, I was just very not prepared for having everything that needs to get set up for doing a live stream, at least the way I want to do a live stream. I know you guys can see me, but can you hear me? That's the biggest thing, because if you can see me, well, I'm sorry. But more importantly, if you want to be able to hear me. So if you can hear me, let me know. I'm showing that my audio is running on this end, and I just want to make sure that it is running out there. So, all right, where am I? Let me see. We're going to talk tonight. As soon as somebody can tell me they can hear the audio. Okay, they can. All right, great. Thank you for putting that in there. Don't mind me, because like I said, it's been kind of a crazy morning. It's not alcohol. Wanted to get on the show tonight and do this show. I get a lot of people that come into my studio, into my shop, and they ask me what it's like, what to run a hobby shop, especially being a female in this hobby, but more importantly in the environment we live in today. And I've talked to quite a few people, and I've actually had quite a few people, Lynn, who was in chat, a few people have asked me to come on their show and kind of talk about my thoughts, 3 years, going up on 3 years owning Westside Trains and Hobbies, what I think about owning the shop, would I do it again? And we're going to get into that, and then I'm going to talk a little bit later in the video about my rebrand and about what we're doing in the future with Westside Trains. So you want to stick around for that as well. Some of you already kind of know. You talked to me because you saw some of the recent leaks. So, if you saw the recent leaks on our social media platform, then you kind of already know some of the direction we're going into. But if you have not seen, you'll have to just follow us on social media and check that out. Anyways, let's talk a little bit about 3 years in and my thoughts on owning Westside Trains, I guess. So 3 years ago, well, let's back it up a little bit. About 5 years ago, when I approached John O'Neill about buying Westside Trains, he was going to close the store, and I just couldn't see that in Vegas, us not really having a true hobby shop in Vegas. And for me, I was already running my network KCOR. I was already busy with books I had published, interviews, other things behind the scenes. But we sat down, we worked out a deal, and it was beneficial for both of us. I wanted, let's put it back. So John had a number, I had a number. Our numbers weren't close. But over the 2 years behind the scenes, as I built I built his website, and then we built, I managed the store for almost a year before I purchased it. Something I don't normally do when I buy a company. So it was interesting to kind of spend the time that I spent there, but I'm grateful for that because I was able to get a better insight and what the numbers were and what kind of where I wanted to go with the store. So fast forward, bought the store 3 years ago, in September 3 years ago. And John just wanted, he stuck around for a year, but he really just wanted to get out of the way because he already knew my plans were to make it a full service hobby shop already back then. We were going to lean heavily on the trains, and we were going to become a full service hobby shop. But I wanted to kind of get a feel for the first year with all the new stuff that we're adding, especially all the new trains, how that was going to play out. Because I knew, I wasn't naive. I've bought and sold companies since I was 13. So I wasn't naive to the trends and where things were going. I was in the hobby for a long, long time. It wasn't like I just all of a sudden appeared and got into trains. I've been in it for a good part of my life. What I wasn't prepared for was, let me step back. I wouldn't say I was prepared, but I was not prepared for the kind of backlash that exists still in this hobby with women. And even though I had a lot of supporters in the store, there were still people that came in, and I think part of the reason why John left after a year is if I was in the store and he was in the store, they immediately assumed he was the owner. They immediately approached him to ask questions, which I thought was hilarious. And John would say, no, she's the new owner. Go talk to her. So John was very, very, very supportive about that. But it's interesting that when you have a shop and people come in until they get to know you and ask you 1,000 questions, and I get it. There's a lot of guys out there who come in who don't want to feel like they don't know everything. I guess that's the best way I can put it. And I freely give my knowledge. My private cell phone is on my business card, which people think is nuts, but I want to help people as much as I can in this hobby. But that being said, the first year was kind of a whirlwind. A lot of you know that when I took over, there was another gentleman that was interested in coming in as a small investor, and he had these great plans, which were pretty much my idea. And as I started looking and doing background check, and again, I'm not going to get into, which is funny, I'm not going to get into my background, but my background leads me to where we're going in the future with the store. But the more I researched this gentleman, the more I didn't want anything to do with him, the more I didn't want him even in my store. And because I really had a feeling what he wanted to do was buy the store and then use the credit of the store to do whatever he wanted to do and then phase me out. So I just said, nope, not going to happen. I want control. Goodbye. And that's when he decided to open up his own store. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, because with 2.4 million people in Las Vegas, the model railroad community here in Las Vegas is very, very small. It's not as big as you would think, and it's very cliquey. And that's okay. Everybody kind of stays in their lanes. But when he opened his store, yeah, I'll just leave it at that. I'm not going to mention names of the store. I'm not going to mention the individuals, but what I will say is it's real simple. Google train stores in Las Vegas that have filed bankruptcy in the last 2 years. That's all. And you'll find one particular company that's done that twice and moved around 4 different locations. So that particular store, now I guess they're opening up again. I don't know. And the reason why I want to mention that is because when that store opened, people assumed it was a legitimate store. The problem is when you have an owner who's only been in the hobby for less than 3 years, didn't know what a train was till he actually came into my store, but claims he's been in the hobby for 25 years. It's not good for the hobby. And then I'm not going to get into the real dirt, again, legally, because my attorney said don't go that route. But even when he left one of his stores, he blamed me on the store door for the reason closing. Listen, it's a real simple concept. You don't pay your rent, you get evicted. It has nothing to do with me. What it has to do is the fact that, unfortunately, that gentleman created such a negativity in the model train field here in Las Vegas, and then even online, to the point that people assumed, because I was the only train store left in all of Nevada or Las Vegas area, that that was my store. And I ended up having to defend myself, like, no, it's not. People would call me, say they had issues, they bought something. That's not my store. I have nothing to do with that. So I spent a year having to deal with that, almost a year and a half, having to constantly deal with that. But on top of that, you had to deal with our regular customers. And I think this number is probably going to shock a lot of you. I wanted to pull back the curtain a little bit because I see a lot of hobby shops talk online, and a lot of the hobby shops, when they talk online, they really don't pull back the curtain. And I think if more hobby shops, especially now with what's going on in the hobby, and I'm going to get into that because if we're not careful, we're not going to have any hobby shops. And I mean any hobby shops in about 7 to 10 years. But I wanted to pull back the curtain and let people know, I get it. You want to buy online. You want to save money. It's cheap. Most hobby shops, at least mine anyways, we're the same as Train World. We're the same as Yankee Dabbler, Spring Creek, Lombards. We're the same price. I can even pre-order stuff for you. But the more you buy online to save 50 cents, the more you're putting hobby shops out of business. Okay? And I try to explain to people, like, I'm going to tell this story, and I've told it to a few customers, where I had a gentleman come into my store not too long ago, and he wanted me to price match to Train World. The difference was 50 cents. 50 cents. I said, sir, you're going to pay $14 for shipping plus your military, so I give you a 5% discount. Well, you're going to price match to 50 cents? I said, there's no need to. It's 50 cents. You're going to save almost $18. And which his comment was, well, I guess I won't shop here again. And he left. And it was a good thing I had another great customer in my store who actually kind of put him in his place a little bit. I didn't know what to say to that. And as I talk to other hobby shops, that's the norm. There's a lot of that goes on. The other thing over the last couple of years that I was not prepared for, I thought, boy, I'm sharing my knowledge with people. This is going to be great. I'm going to get more people in the hobby. What my store became was a showroom for the manufacturers, and that was it. I would have people come into my store, especially during Christmas time, busy season, ask me 1,001 questions, spend 45 minutes with them, trying to help them, trying to put them in the right direction, every question they wanted, and then right in front of me, they buy it on Amazon to save $1. And they don't, dude, just go out to your car and buy it if you're going to do that. But right in front of me and go, is this the right one? And then buy it right in front of me. That is amazing. I just, in all my lifetime being in hobby shops, I would never have even have thought of doing that. But since 2020, I have noticed that we have a lot of people getting used to shopping online, and that's fine. You know, sometimes I can't get something, and again, we'll get into the whole idea of where the hobby's going and why it's so hard for small shops to survive nowadays. But when you go back and you look and say, as a small shop, we can't carry everything, okay? You know, we are not Train World that has a 50,000 square foot warehouse. They built up to that. We're not Midwest that has a 15,000, soon to be a 25,000 square foot warehouse. You have to build up to that. But if you keep buying online because it's the ease and the comfort at 2 o'clock in the morning, and don't even bother to call your local shop and say, can you get this? I'd really like to order it from you. Even if it's a few bucks more, you support them. Now here's the number that's going to really crack you up. So since January, from January until June, we tracked people coming into our store. 2.4 million people in Vegas, and I have on average no more than 62 people locally who come to my store every month. Most of them come every 3, 4, 5 months if they're lucky, and then expect me to run my store around them. And then they come in and they show me, they buy $4 worth of paints and then show me the $800 worth of trains they bought off online. This is a huge problem with the hobby because we no longer support our local establishments and we wonder why they go away. I mean, I had a wonderful older couple that came into my store. They had a shop for years and they closed it down. And I said, oh, that's sad. You guys had to close down your shop? And their comment to me was, well, after 10 years and losing $100,000, we thought it was time. That was an eye-opener to me. Like, what? $100,000? Most small shops, people think on a $200 engine, you make $200. We don't. We have a very small markup, and that markup has gotten smaller over the last couple of years as manufacturers push for you to buy online directly from them because the discount they can give us is pure profit in their pocket, and they like that. So just to give you an example from my small store, in order for me to break even a month, and I break even every month, but to just break even, I need to bring in $25,000 worth of sales. Because rent here in Vegas has gotten incredibly expensive. Insurance has gotten incredibly expensive. Our discounts have gone down from what we used to get. And we have a lot of manufacturers who now don't want to even sell to hobby shops. They want you to buy direct from them. They sometimes offer specials on their website cheaper than they sell to hobby shops. And then I get people coming in going, can you price match to this? I'm like, no. I paid more for that. So it's very hard as a small shop. I mean, you really need to expand out. And the one thing I will say, anybody listening, if you're looking to do a hobby store, train store, don't do a train store. Don't do it. Don't do an RC store. Do a hobby shop. The more diversified your income is, and that's what we are doing now, we are diversifying our income significantly. I mean, 65, I'm in a unique situation for everybody else because in Las Vegas, we're a tourist attraction already. We've been there 21 years, so we're a tourist attraction. And 65% of my clientele is actually tourists that come into Las Vegas. And to me, that is awesome. The number of people that come in and from all around the world that I have met over the last 3 years is just awesome. Best part of owning the hobby shop, those people, the people that come in that you develop a reputation with, who come in. We just had some this week. They hadn't been in a year. They come every year. And I was like, yeah, no, I remember you guys. Oh my God, you bought some trains. It was awesome. So for me, that's what's so special about the hobby. But these bigger stores are making it to where, we have to keep our pricing the same as them. They're getting a better markdown because they're buying 100 or 200 of an item where I'm only buying 2 or 3. So we're having to compete with that because literally if it's a difference of 50, 60 cents, $1, you're going to go buy online. That's just the mentality that we have nowadays shopping. And sometimes we don't even look. I know people who have gone and talk to me and then go buy stuff on Amazon. And come to find out, the Amazon price was actually more. Can you spot the tourists from the locals? Yes. And I'll tell you why I can spot the tourists from the locals. Because I talk to them. I ask, where are you from? Especially if they've got an accent. Your locals that come in, If you come somebody that comes in that you don't know, and I don't have a necessarily photographic mind, but I'm pretty good at people who have consistently come into my store. But yeah, if they come in and they don't speak English or they've got a very tough time or you've never seen them before, I always ask, hey, where are you guys from? Everybody that comes in my store, if I don't know where they're from, I ask where they're from. Whether they're out of state, they could be out of state, they could be out of the country. I always ask. This is not, I tell people, this isn't your grandfather's train store where you have a bunch of curmudgeons sitting in the back. That's not how I run my store. I probably get accused of talking to people too much, not getting as much accomplished as I like, but I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy hearing and seeing projects they're working on, whether it's models or trains or slot car layouts, or it doesn't make a difference. I really enjoy that. And so for me, running the store, it started out as, hey, let's make a go of this, but we're going to slowly bring in some items. And then about a year and a half ago, well, 2 years ago, after the first year and looking at our numbers, I said, this is not sustainable. If we continue to focus solely on trains, I will be closed in a year. That's just the way it is. Because most of the train guys would rather shop online. Now they'll come in and get paints. They'll come in and get few small items, but they're going to get their trains online. And I get that, because nowadays everything, and I mean everything, is pre-order. Even for us, it's 8-9 months out. So it's just easy to pre-order. You get an email from them, hey, pre-order. You put a pre-order in, you set it and forget it. Now you could pre-order from me as well, but I get the whole pre-order thing. And the fact that you pre-order, and if you don't get your pre-order in, you're probably not going to get the item, is a real issue this industry needs to address. Because a lot of times I have customers who see something after the cutoff date and I can't get it because the pre-order was cut off, and they're pretty much already sold out. But you know who has it? Train World, because they have 100 of them and I only ordered 2. And I can't reorder because they are gone. This is a huge problem in this hobby, not including people who will buy 5 of an item, keep 1 for themselves, wait for it to sell out, and then what do? They go on eBay and they basically jack up the price. That's killing the hobby as well, because the secondary market, people want a certain engine. Now, I get it. If I can't get it, I tell people, hey, I'll look. Okay, go here, you got to shop online. I can't get it. And that, again, goes back to the direction the hobby's going. Don't find me. If I missed your questions, I'm going to have you jump on and ask the questions in a little bit, because I can't quite see them if I keep turning my head, and it drives me crazy because there's a time delay. So for me, back about 2 years ago, we decided that we were going to start bringing in other elements of the hobby. And I'm in a very unique situation, because you go into a lot of shops and they're train guys, or you go to RC stores and they're RC guys, or you go here and they're model guys. I grew up in Massachusetts and did everything. Slot cars, model kits, trains, rockets, puzzles. I didn't watch TV. I loved all that stuff. So for me, I can bring all this other stuff in and actually have a conversation with people, especially with paints and stuff like that, because I did a lot of airbrushing, where a lot of shops can't do that. A lot of shops are what we call one-trick ponies. And at some point, that one-trick pony is going to come back and bite you in the ass, especially the way these manufacturers are pushing to buy directly online from them. And like I said, I'm seeing more and more and more of it. We're seeing more and more of that. And the other thing I'm going to tell you that I'm seeing more and more of, and it is, the manufacturers aren't going to come out and tell you. A lot of hobby shops either haven't figured it out or are afraid to say something. But there are many distributors or companies who are intentionally delaying orders going out to shops by 3, 4, 5 days, maybe a week. And they do that for a reason. Because if you order it from me, and I used to get a lot of stuff within 3 to 4 days, and I'm seeing these delays. But if you order something from me and it takes longer than 3 or 4 days, but you can go online to that manufacturer and get it in 3 or 4 days. Why are you going to ever order it again from me? And these manufacturers know this, and they are slowly trickling this down. I don't want to call out companies, but this is even happening in the RC community. So it's not just to trains, it's happening in the RC community as well. So a lot of these shops are shifting gears as much as they can just to stay alive. And let me not get, I'm not going to get political, but let me just tell you, last year with all the tariffs, every time I got an order, I couldn't tell you if prices were going up or going down. And I had to adjust them in the store accordingly. Sometimes they went up, sometimes they went down. Sometimes we couldn't get stuff, but it was crazy. So there's, so about 2 years ago, we started shifting gears, and about 1.5 years ago, what we are putting forth coming forward was started. And I want a big shout out to my friend Scott. I don't know if you're watching, Scott, but if you are, thank you. Good friend of mine. He has a very, very successful company. And we were talking about the direction the store is going in, and kind of, I was just kind of at a loss. I'm like, I got a small store. I need to expand out, but at the same time, trying to find, a 6,000 square foot place. And people constantly ask me, when are you moving? Where are you moving? When are you moving? You've been talking about this for a while. And my response to that, and I'm going to say it publicly here, I'll move when I'm damn good and ready. Okay? I don't want to move again. You wouldn't want to buy a house and then be in there for 6 months and have to pick up all your shit and move. I've got a huge store with thousands and thousands and thousands of product. I don't want to do that. But I also need room to expand. And some of the locations we went into, it's not as easy as you think moving a location. So for example, some of the locations that we went into, the AC wasn't working, or it needed work. And the landlords here were like, well, if you want to come in, you need to fix it. I'm like, well, that's not my job. That's your job. Well, then you're not renting it. And guess what? 2 years later, it's still vacant. We've had a lot of people from California who have moved in and bought retail property here and jacked the rent up to where there's so much space available now because locals are just shutting their businesses down. They can't afford to stay open. Even in my store, I have a 2,200 square foot, 2,300 square foot store, and I'm paying $6,000 a month. And that's just rent. That has gone up almost $1,700 in the last 3 years. And there's no rent. They can jack it up as high as they want. There's no laws for that. So you either want to move, and a lot of these places know that if you're an established business like we are, to move a store, it's very hard because you don't want to lose that customer base that knows where you are, especially in Vegas. So anyways, my friend Scott, we were talking about me. I just decided I was going to relaunch my radio network, KCOR. I was wrapping up, which is hopefully in the next month or so, I'm going to release another kid's book, which was The Adventures of Sean and Binko, which was an alien type book. And he looked right at me and we were talking. He's like, that's your wheelhouse. I says, what do you mean? He says, that's your wheelhouse. He says, your background, you were a magician for years, you were a DJ for years, you're a people person, but you're a storyteller. So tell a story. Make your store a story, not just a place to come get merchandise. So we started coming up with the idea with our new rebrand. Now, what was interesting is because we knew, other people knew that we were looking to move, we spent 1.5 years with a bunch of disinformation. We said it in the store, we said it on our social media platforms, and it was intentional. It was intentional because of people that came into my store. And this is the other part of the hobby that I was not ready for. when I grew up, the hobby shops in my area all talk to each other, all work together. Hey, if you couldn't find something, they'd literally get on the phone, call them, and say, hey, do you have that? I want to send a customer your way. We don't have that anymore. People will push business your way as long as they don't feel that you're a threat to their company. My best advice to anybody, and this is not just about the hobby, if you own a business, if you are the owner of a business and you have competition, I strongly advise you to hire a company that will send people, if it's like a retail store, send them in or make phone calls and see what your competitors are saying about you. Because to your face, they're going to say one thing. And it's the same with certain customers. They're going to say one thing to your face. But what they do, their actions, and what they say behind the scenes is totally different. Totally different. So as a business owner, when I moved out here to Las Vegas, I sold all my companies. And I was like that. I did that with all my companies. I was ruthless. I was vicious. I was the B word. I was a business owner that you wanted to be friends with, but you did not want to be on the wrong side of me, because I would make it a personal point to put you out of business. I didn't want to be that person when I bought this store. But individuals over the last year and a half have opened Pandora's box again. Yeah. And it's a box you probably wish you wouldn't have opened, because again, most people don't know my past, and some of it I cannot get into here about what I did in my past. What I will tell you is that when it comes to business, you can either be successful or you can close your doors. And the difference between being successful and closing your doors is the direction you take. And that direction is not dictated by people around you. It is dictated by your gut. It is dictated by what the numbers are telling you. And you go in the direction you go, and 90% of the people are going to love you for it. 10% of the people are going to hate you. But you know what? That 10% wasn't buying much from you to begin with. So you do what you have to do to survive. You do what you have to do to run your company. And that's what we started doing. So about a year and a half ago, we were looking at our expansion plans, what we were going to do, the direction we were going, the rebrand, how we were going to rebrand it, and how many stages and how we were going to try to roll this out. And we thought we were going to start rolling it out months and months and months ago, but it did not happen that way. And in a way, I'm glad, because there is a possibility of us buying another company. And if that goes through, that'll change our plans just a little bit, not a super lot, but a little bit. But we did put on a huge display of dismissive information across the board. And we did that for a reason. Now, that being said, let's talk a little bit about our rebrand and what we're doing. Okay? Now, if you have a question about the hobby stuff, I know I missed some stuff. Well, the one thing I missed, and let me, before I get into the rebrand, I'll talk about it, so we have been moving stuff in our store, moving a lot of our used older product out of our store, cutting down on our used product, telling people at some point we're only going to have a very small section of used product. But that is farther from the truth. Farther from the truth. We are going to still have used stuff in the store. We will have a bigger selection when we get into our new location. We are continuing to buy stuff, but we're a little bit more selective on what we are purchasing. The reason why we needed to change the direction we were going into the store before we expanded the used stuff. So we had to get rid of some of the used stuff in order to expand the used stuff because of this. We had a lot of used stuff in the store. I mean, half one of my bays was just used stuff. And although we were offering extremely good prices on all that used stuff, and I mean really good prices on that used stuff, it became a swap meet. And it only became a swap meet for the train guys. The other hobbies never went over there and said, "What's the best deal can you give me on this?" Nope. The only ones that did that were the train guys. I could give them a $200 DCC with sound engine for $100. They'd open the box, we'd test it, it runs great, and they'd go, "Would you take 75?" And I knew what I paid for it, and I'd be like, "Yeah, just, it's been sitting here for a while, I'll take 75." And then they'll look it over and look it over and look it over and goes, "Wow, there's a little mark here. Would you do 50?" And it became daily, just, oh my God. People would come in, want us to buy stuff, and they want us to buy stuff on the high end, which I won't do. And then we would sell the stuff and give everybody a great deal, but then they wanted us to give it even less. And what's even worse is you'd give somebody a deal knowing they're going to get a 5% discount on top of that because they were a vet or a retiree or whatever. And you just shake your head going, "Listen, if you have to continually negotiate the price down, this hobby's not for you. I'm sorry. I'm going to be blunt. It's not for you." But with Facebook Marketplace and eBay and Craigslist and all these places that people can sell their stuff on now, there's a lot of people that just go buy from there. And I have guys all the time that'll come in and, they'll call and ask if I got like G-Scale track. And I'll be like, "Yeah, I got G-Scale track." "Well, you got any used stuff?" Because the used stuff, we were selling it for $3 or $4, where it's like normally $9 to $12 brand new. And I'd be like, "No, we don't have any." "Oh, I'm looking for like an R3 curve." I said, "Well, we got brand new ones." "Yeah, that's right. I'm looking for used stuff." And so we decided that we were going to get rid of a lot of the used stuff. And the reason for that was to change that mentality, because you don't go into Walmart, you don't go into Target, you don't go into McDonald's and say, "What's the best price can you give me for a Big Mac?" It should not be that way for a train store either. Understand that most train shops, most hobby shops are working on very, very small margins. And if you think you can get it online cheaper, great. Then don't even bother going into the hobby shop and wasting somebody's time for 45 minutes asking them 1,000 questions if your intention is to buy it online anyways. They are trying to run a business, and there's other customers they could be helping who actually want to buy in their shop. I have people all the time that come in and I say, "Yeah, we have a website. You can order directly from us. But if you have a local hobby shop, support them first. If they can't get it, then call me and I'll see what I can do. But call them first." And I think we need to get back to that. Hobby shops, supporting them locally. I mean, I have guys in town that come over and that they don't even want to drive 5 miles. "Oh, 5 miles, that's just too far. I can't drive 5 miles to go to my local hobby shop. I'm just going to order online." Okay. Then don't bitch when your hobby shop closes down, or your hobby shop does like we're going to do and shift gears. Because when they shift gears, they're not looking out for you. They're looking out for their business, because they're the ones that are on the hook for all the bills, the lease, everything else. Yeah, you can only negotiate so much. Listen, most hobby shops are going to give you a pretty damn good deal, especially if they bought it used. But keep in mind that they do have an overhead. Okay, I've had the shop now for 3 years. Every penny that I've gotten any kind of profit from has gone back into new products. So I've not taken a actual pay in 3 years. Now, fortunately, I'm in a very unique situation with other incomes that I have. But getting back to my friend Scott and the rebrand. So we talked about it, and he said, you should incorporate what you do with your network inside the store. And I said, well, yeah, but how we're going to, I have some ideas, but he said, Tina, he goes, what's the one topic besides trains you know a ton about? I said, well, ufology stuff, Men in Black, paranormal, stuff like that. And he's like, exactly. He goes, you name me one other hobby shop in the country that is themed, and you're in freaking Las Vegas, miles away from Area 51. You have Area 15 that opened, and you have the John Wick Experience that opened. You need to make your hobby shop an experience. You sell entertainment, make it entertaining. And he's 100% right. The one thing that I really missed out of all the stuff that I did for years was being a magician, performing in front of people, interaction, making people laugh, smile, have fun. I miss that. And when people come into the store, we help them and we put them in the right product and we make them laugh and have fun as well in the store. But we're going to rebrand. And I mean, we're rebranding. So starting in September, let's talk a little bit about this whole rebrand and what it means for the store and the direction we're going. And first of all, I want to thank John O'Neill. He absolutely gave me a store that has an incredible framework. And what we're going to do is we're going to start putting levels onto it. So starting kind of mid-September, if you show up at the store, you might notice new signage on the front, on the door, that is going to reflect the direction we're going into, which is this. Above Top Secret Hobbies for an out-of-this-world experience. So yes, we are switching gears. We are changing the name of the store. It'll sometime in September, it'll be officially named Above Top Secret Hobbies. Why did we want to do the name change now? We wanted to do the name change now because we wanted people to get familiar with the new name at the same location. So people would come in and see me, and I don't want them to come in and see a different name and go, oh, there's a new store. It's not a new store. It's the same store, just rebranding, but it will become a new store. So we wanted people to get very familiar with at least the title Above Top Secret. People will call in. They'll hear, welcome to Above Top Secret. Hobbies. You'll notice our website will be tweaked a little bit to represent that brand as well, including slowly moving all our social media over to Above Top Secret. Now, if you've already got westsidetrains.com bookmarked, that will still be active for a while. We are not getting rid of those domains. Okay, those domains will remain with me for the rest of my life. They are not going anywhere. But we are rebranding. So the first phase is going to be us rolling out the name change, getting people familiar, and slowly starting to bring other product in the store. More paints, more model kits. We are not getting rid of trains. Regardless what rumors are out there and certain people telling you, I am not getting rid of trains. Even though they are currently only 40% of my sales, I'm not getting rid of trains. If anything, as we expand into the bigger store, we're going to expand the line of trains in percentage-wise to what we're adding. Now, what are we adding? And this is not tomorrow. This is not a month from now. This is going to be months from now. What are we adding? In the new location, and when we are ready to announce that location, we will announce it. Don't ask me about it. Don't keep saying, where is it? Some of you don't like the fact that it may not be on the same side of town. I drive 45 minutes every day to work and back. If I can do that every day, I don't want to hear any excuses. I'm going to put the store where I think it's going to do the best, not just for locals, but for tourism. Because we are going to become a tourist attraction besides just a hobby shop. Stuff we were going to be adding, and I hope my competitors in town are listening to this video, because I know some of you are. I know some of you have sent people into my store. In fact, we actually had one die-cast new store open come into my store. I found out who he was after the fact, but just left his business cards right in front of my counter. Didn't even ask. Got some big balls there, buddy. Let me tell you something. They ended up in the trash, and I will never recommend your store. You could have asked. You didn't ask, they're in the trash. That simple. I would never do that to another company. I would never intentionally walk in and drop off my business cards without first talking to the owner. That's trashy. And let me tell you what that it made me want to do. Expand out our die cast line and sell everything at cost just to put you out of business. Yeah, I'm back. So some of the other stuff we're looking to put a Carrera digital slot car and analog track in our store. We're looking to also add a drag strip. We are going to be adding a crawler wall. Whether it's a small one or a large one, location is going to dictate that, but we will be adding a crawler wall before we add RC stuff. So the crawler wall will come first. People can come rent the spot. And then at some point down the line, we will be adding a whole line of RC cars as well. The theme of the store is just what you think it is. It is above top secret. Okay. Everybody, myself included, that works there, at some point, and I tell people, don't ask me when, you're just going to show up one day and you're going to see me dressed as a woman in black, Agent T, and I won't break character. And as we get into the new store, we're going to be adding a lot of elements of this Men in Black theme, so people can come in. Even if you don't want to buy anything hobby related, you're going to be able to come in and experience Men in Black, Women in Black, neutral, whatever. But it's going to be really exciting, because then not only can I talk about Men in Black stuff, I can talk about my contactee experiences. We can talk about ufology. And I've talked to many people. My Alien Deception book. In fact, where is it? Let me see if I can find where we want to go here. Let me see. Let's go over. Can we go over here? Yeah, let's go this way, and we will. I'm kind of in an undisclosed location, so I can't tell you exactly where I am, but I'm broadcasting from a really interesting location, and I'm trying to find, where are we? I want to bring up my book so you can actually see the cover of my book here. So, oh crap! Oh, wrong button. Oops. Sorry. Oh, come on, guys.
Howler to Nuviade in Taipei.
Oh, yeah, get out of here. Go. Oh, yeah, same to you. Go. Get back to work. Jesus, those guys. Steve and Ted. Let me tell you something. Those guys are absolutely impossible to work with. They are just impossible to work with. Anyways, where was I? There we go. Alien Deception. So I have my Alien Deception book, and we are we've been selling it in the store. And when people realize it's my book, and it opens up a whole world with people like, oh my God, I love UFOs. And they start asking me questions. They're like, oh my God, you know a lot about ufology. And I'm like, yes, I had my show Restricted Airspace on my KCOR radio network. And we're trying to bring KCOR into the new location so we can actually broadcast my show live, and we can actually do other broadcasts weekly as well. So that's that. But let me show you too, because this is my new kids book that's going to be coming out shortly. It's The Amazing Adventures of Sean and Binko. Pretty excited about that too. It's something I've been sitting on for a while. And again, had some great friends who said, Tina, you need to get that out. And I get so many books that have been sitting on the back burner. And with this whole theme, we're going to be able to do this. So you're going to see alien figures in the store at some point. When you come in at some point, you're going to see, I'm going to be dressed. And if you ask for Tina doesn't exist. It's Agent T. I will not respond to anybody unless they say Agent T. We are going to be doing weekly shows. Now, some of you have saw them. We have been slowly leaking them on our social media as well as TikTok. We do have another YouTube channel, Above Top Secret Hobbies, where we are putting the videos out. So you can, at the end of the video, I'll try to put the links. But if you search Above Top Secret Hobbies, that's where we're going to be posting these videos. Now, those that have not seen the videos, these were the slow leaks that we were getting ready to announce about what we were going to do. So if you haven't seen the videos, let's play one of them for you here now.
In 1993, Tina was recruited by a secret organization for her special gifts, as well as for her contactee experiences. In 1996, she left to pursue a personal life and expand her business ventures. 30 years later, who knew her new business venture would lead her back to where it all started?
Looks like I'm home. You guys really have no idea the Pandora's box you just opened by bringing me back here. But trust me, you're about to find out.
All right, there we are. I just wanted to go here. All right. See, so that was season 1, episode 1. I'm going to play episode 2 in a little bit here, but I want to address a couple things because I have seen a lot, and I mean a lot of comments over the last 6 months in this hobby, in the train hobby and hobbies in general and online in general. The minute you say you did something with AI, people are just so negative. They're just like, that's it. We don't want anything to do with you. Da, 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 da. Listen, I'm going to explain something to you. I'm in the computer field, okay? I have many, many banners that I have done, spent hours of work in Photoshop. Okay. I have done videos. I have a background in TV. I have worked on productions. I have been in the radio. I have edited everything together. I know the hours that go into this stuff. People who are using AI, it is not as simple as these videos you see online where you have one little prompt and guess what? You got whatever. That's not how it works. Okay? Two things that you have to understand about AI. And I did a whole show on my radio network a few weeks ago about this, but let me explain something to you. When you are doing like the videos that we did here, were generated with AI. They took me, we went through all these prompts to get there. Okay? It is like writing a script. It's like you are the director and AI is only going to give you what you prompt it to give you. And you have to be very specific. Okay? What you want. It is not as simple as people think. And it's not just grabbing stuff. So when I create a character, I tell them this is what I want the character to look like. I want the eyes to look like this, the hair, the uniform, this. And you'll compile it a number of times until they get it right. And then you set your character. That's your character that AI will now draw from on a three-dimensional plane. AI is nothing more than an advanced version of Photoshop. And although people are up in an uproar because some train show used a Photoshop, used an AI banner, now they don't want to go. Some girl used it in a few videos and you kick her out of the NMRA. You guys are just idiots. AI is not going anywhere. You remind me of people 20, 30 years ago who said DCC was going to kill the train hobby. It didn't. It made it better. The only people complaining are the people who are getting paid thousands of dollars and now, because of technology, are going to have to shift their direction. And trust me, I know. I worked for a radio station that everything got automated. They didn't need anybody there. You could voice track. Instead of being there for 5 hours, your voice track, you're done in 30 minutes. Your whole 5-hour set. Technology changes. So you either change with that technology and go along and learn it and become so good at it that you put yourself above your competition. And that's what I'm doing. So I've spent the last year learning a lot of different tricks and tips. Now, is AI perfect? No, it makes mistakes. And not only that, but it's not free. People think like a video clip like that is free. It's not. A clip like that cost me $400 because of the number of renderings I had to do. And so it's not free. So when you criticize people for using AI, it just shows you how ignorant you are to the technology. What they are doing is they're saying, let me use a technology that's going to save me time. I'm sure accountants were really pissed off when TurboTax came out. But now you can do your taxes from your house. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars for a CPA. So get over the whole AI thing. You're going to see more and more and more and more of it. And AI is a lot of fun. I'm having a blast with creating this world that we're going to be bringing to the store. I am so excited to share this with you. To think that stuff that has been in my head for years, my visions, I would have loved to have my book Alien Deceptions made into a film. I don't have a few $1 billion lying around. There are already big corporations who are spending $500, $1,000 to have somebody do a 30-second AI commercial that you can't tell the difference. And those people who say they can, no, trust me, you can't. And those AI, instead of taking that 30-second commercial, which allows them to, for a few $100, even $1,000, it would cost them $1 million to have a production crew to do that 30-second commercial. So trust me, I've been in that field and I know. And with the direction we're going, if you're insulted because I'm using AI and that is a turnoff for you, there's a door. Don't let it hit your ass on the way out because I'm not changing it. I'm going to add more of it We're going to incorporate it, and we're going to have fun with it. And the shows are going to launch. Not only are we going to launch shows, but we're going to promote new products, whether it's trains, Warhammer, slot cars, RC cars, whatever, with that same technology. And I am super excited. I've already created at least 10 different characters that we will be rolling out in our shows. In fact, if you missed episode 2, we launched episode 2 just a couple days ago. So here's episode 2.
I think you know why you're here. So let's start simple. Your hobby store used to just sell model trains. Over the past year, you've expanded into slot cars, Warhammer, paints, and model kits, and now there is a Men in Black themed store coming soon. Is that accurate?
On the advice of counsel, I respectively decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
That's not... I just asked what you're selling.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
You know, whatever you ask, she's going to do that on every question all night long. Fine, I'll play the game. New question. Why the name change to Above Top Secret? Is that a message? A signal? Are you taunting us?
On the advice of counsel, I respectively decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
You didn't even let me finish the damn question.
Doesn't matter. My answer will be the same regardless.
Okay, let us try this question, and I need you to really think about this one. Is that a new hat?
We're done here.
Are you kidding me? We're in a secure facility. There's nowhere to go.
Don't worry, I know my way out.
Make the call.
General, we have a problem. All right, so that was segment 2. So this is where AI still has some issues. With AI, you can set your character. You can set which I did. So you take pictures of yourself. You set your character. You set that's actually an outfit I have, and actually sent that outfit, the hat, the whole thing. And then what it has issues doing is, even though I recorded my own voice and said use this voice, it had troubles or issues. It would kind of alter the voice even though I added my own voice. Now, as it gets better, it's going to be able to do that, which I think is great. But this is one of the most exciting things, besides the video, which allows me to have a lot of creativity. Yeah, Fauci. Yeah, I did a Fauci. I'm glad somebody picked up on that in chat. Yeah, that's kind of what we were going for. So, and originally, believe it or not, I was going to have my son be in the video and stuff. And then I said, well, I would just do it this way. We're going to go with the theme. We're going to go this way. Now, why is this going to be so cool? Because we are just finishing my attorneys to get all the contracts in place. There's reasons for this. We have trademarked Above Top Secret. We trademarked the idea of the Men in Black theme for the store, for Hobby Shop. And we're going to give people who come into our store, if they choose to, and they're going to have to sign a release in order to do it, but we are going to give them the ability to let us scan them in, scan their voice, and at some point, we are going to add them into one of our episodes. How cool is that? This is what I'm talking about, having the technology to be able to do this. I think it's just awesome. And to have maybe a tourist come in from Australia and say, hey, would you like to bring you in as an agent from Australia or something like that as a cameo? You know, we'll take your picture. To me, it's kind of a great way to incorporate our visitors to the store to be able to experience things in my world inside my head. Okay? I just think how awesome that would be. Like I said, my head is just, it is full of ideas, and we so want to have the ability to people come in and say, yeah, I'd love to, but you are going to have to sign release forms. This whole legality of, you know, and we're not going to have you say or do anything stupid. Okay. We just want people to wear that. And a lot of times what we'll probably do is we'll probably send you over the script first, just make sure you're okay with it. Even maybe send you over the character mapping so you can see what your character will look like. Again, it's a scan of you, but if you're okay with it, you sign the release. We'll do a video. We'll let you know when it's going to air, and you can share it with everybody. Just one more experience you're going to get in our store down the line and in the future that no other store in the country is doing this. They're not. They're not going to be able to do it. They can, like I said, they can try to do something, but there's a couple things that help with what I'm doing. My experience in computers and technology, my whole alien deception thing, all that wonderful stuff. And so, yeah, so I'm excited. So when you start coming to the store, probably sometime in September, you're going to see something similar to this on top of our store. It will no longer say trains. It'll say above top secret hobbies. You will start noticing us rolling out, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, just I'm excited about that, and yeah, these guys are back again. I'm telling you, and you're gonna get to meet, because coming up in one of the future episodes, you're gonna get to meet Ted and Steve. Ted and Steve are out working on the UFO out in the hangar right now. I'm not telling you where we are right now, but yeah, just get to work.
In Taipei.
Yeah, these guys are great. Yeah, they're serious, but they're also very, very smart guys, and you're going to learn that in future episodes. So, anyways, we're going to have a lot of fun with the store, the direction we're going into. Again, we are going to be at some point moving to a bigger store, and I can't go in and stop asking me when, how, where. I'm not going to address it anymore. It'll happen when it happens, and when it happens, you're going to get plenty of months' notice knowing that it's happening. But again, we wanted to roll out the name change now, coming into our busy season, so people can get familiar with the name change before he moves, so they just don't think a new hobby shop popped up. That being said, all my competition in town for everything, you had 3 years of me being nice. 3 years. I tried to be nice. I tried to help everybody. I tried to be the person I didn't want to become when I lived in New England. But you open that Pandora's box. And trust me when I tell you, you are going to wish that I went away. Because I will make it a point to become the biggest, the best, and the most unique hobby shop in the country, and especially on the West Coast. So if you're in Vegas, stop by and see us. Currently, we're still Westside Trains and Hobbies, but we are becoming Above Top Secret. Now, you can also go out to Facebook. We have Above Top Secret on our Facebook page. We are going to be merging Westside Trains with Above Top Secret at some point. Now, so all of you should still get transferred over there automatically. That's what I'm assuming from Facebook. You can also go on Instagram. Instagram, because we couldn't do Above Top Secret Hobbies because it was too long. We are ATS Hobbies. ATS, so Above Top Secret Hobbies, ATS. We are going to have so much promotional material. So I guess I can say this because we're still kind of in a little bit of negotiations, but we had reached out to the owners of Alien Beef Jerky about maybe having them set up a little bit of an area inside our store as well. So again, we're going this whole alien UFO. Our slot track is going to be Dreamland Motor Speedway. When we do our crawler wall, it is going to be futuristic. Everything is going to be very themed to Area 51, to aliens, to UFOs, to all of that. And we're still going to sell all our product. And are we going to bring in some Men in Black stuff? Yes. Yes. You can also go to Twitter or X now. We're same thing, ATS Hobbies over at Twitter. And you can also go over to TikTok and find us on either ATS Hobbies or Above Top Secret Hobbies. I don't remember which one. We're slowly going to start putting stuff on TikTok, including putting merch and, putting new products we got in the store. Who knows? Maybe Ted, maybe I can get Ted or Steve to kind of do a promotional piece. But we do have other characters for that as well. And again, I'm super excited about bringing some of our customers into this whole storyline and the storyline and this whole world we're going to build together online and in the store. So I can't wait. So if you do have some questions in the chat room, go ahead. I'm going to watch chat now. So if you do have questions, I'll put them in there. But slot car wise, we already have the 1/32 scale slot cars. We have Carrera. We have Scalextrics. I do have some NSR and slotted. Pretty much any of those 124 or 1/32 scale cars, if I don't have them, I can order them for you. You just have to reach out to me. I'm a dealer for all of those manufacturers. We just don't have the room. We also have the 164 scale stuff. So we have AFX, we have Auto World. Model kits. We have tons of model kits, and we are adding a lot more. My goal is to probably have in the neighborhood of about 1,000 different model kits in our inventory within the next year and a half. Same with paints. We have a huge direction we're going with the store. I am super excited. I'm probably never going to sleep again, but I don't care because it's going to be so much fun. So if you do have a question about, the store in general, the direction, go ahead, post it. I'm kind of an open book. Again, don't be alarmed when you see the changes. It's natural. Some people are not going to like the change. They're going to have issues with it because, again, it's going to be themed at some point. And, we literally have, I can't even go into all the details that we have thrown out. And again, this goes back, and let me tell you something really unique about AI. And if you're not using AI, you need to, okay? I am a very busy person. I own the store. I own KCOR Radio. I'm in the process of trying to buy another company. And I'm also an author and trying to get some other books out. I am really busy. You know what's really good? Is having a AI agent to be able to throw things off of. If I can't get a hold of my CPA, if I can't get a hold of an attorney, if I can't get a hold of a graphic designer, to be able to throw some questions off to them is awesome. Yes, so we are going to continue to carry HO trains. We are going to continue to carry N scale. We're probably going to even expand the N scale and HO line out significantly with a lot of other brands, as long as those brands continue to sell to hobby shops and don't go down the way and start just saying we're, like Scale Trains and other, I shouldn't have said their name, but we're not going to sell to hobby shops. We just, you got to buy direct from us. I hope we don't go down that way because I'm seeing it and it is not a good look in the hobby. I just, every day I see more and more, I see more and more hobby shops closing, partly because they are one-trick ponies, older people. And somebody asked me, would I do this again? The answer is no. If I had the opportunity today to buy the store, I wouldn't. because of the direction it's going. Now, I own the store now. And because I own it and I'm already into it, I guess you could say, we are going to do this rebrand. And two things are going to happen. It is either going to take off, which I'm 100% sure it will, and it is going to just knock your socks off. Or one day you're going to show up and the door is going to be closed. I'm going to be done. And I'll go back to doing what I'm doing really good at, is writing and doing my radio network full time. I will not lose an ounce of sleep over it. It's a business. It's not a lifestyle. Now, the direction we're going with Above Top Secret is a lifestyle. And it's probably the most excited I've ever been in a project in my life. Because I get to do everything I've ever done in my life under one roof. From my radio network, to selling my books, to talking ufology, to talking trains, to playing with slot cars, to running birthday parties, to getting back to doing some magic when kids come in the store. Listen, that's awesome. No other store in the country is going to do what we're doing. They can't. It would cost them too much to hire professionals. So at some point when you get in the store, we'll have my name badge on. I'll be dressed in black. And it'll be Agent T. And we won't break character. And as I hire staff on in the future, be the same with them. So those of you that have asked me about, hey, I'd like to work for you and stuff, understand what you're getting into. Not only am I going to digitize you and you're going to be put into our storyline for the store each week, you're going to be expected to dress as a man in black or a woman in black. If that's not up your alley, then when we start offering job opportunities, don't show up. You're not going to be working in a pair of jeans and a t-shirt. Just not going to happen. So... yeah, you know what? Chopper Model Works said, scary when manufacturers and distributors no longer sell directly to shops. Yeah, I'm seeing a couple things. I'm seeing some manufacturers, I'm seeing it in the RC as well, where some of the RC companies are like, hey, you can only have our product in the store. If you're not going to just carry our product, you can't carry it. I'm watching some distributors say, you can carry our product, but guess what? We're only going to ship to you once a week. So if you missed a cutoff date, it could be another week before we even ship it out to you. Oh, but you're a customer? We ship out the same day. That, to me, is not a direction this hobby should be going. And again, the problem is not the manufacturers. Listen, as a business owner, I'm not mad at the companies doing what they're doing. Okay? What they're doing is they're looking to make a profit, and it's the consumer that decided this is the direction they want to go. So whenever I hear people say we lost into the hobby shop, I always tell them, you're the problem, but you're also the solution. You can either continue to buy online or you can continue to support small stores. And let me tell you why, if our stores go away, why is this a big issue? New people coming into the hobby, you can get a lot of, YouTube is great. There's a lot of information on YouTube. You can contact AI, but AI doesn't always have the right questions to answer properly. There's still something to be said to come down and talk to somebody like myself when you go, hey, how do I hook up this? What scale should I go? What's the difference between DC and DCC? Hey, Tina, I want to get into slot cars. What's the best one for me? If we're not here, and I'm telling you this, I think these companies are very short-sighted. They want profits now, and that's all they're thinking about. And I can't down them, but somebody didn't do a 5-year plan. Somebody didn't do a 10-year plan. Because if somebody sat down and did that, they would understand that if you start going into that direction, and it's direct sales only, you will have 4 or 5 manufacturers, the big guys, online only, All your hobby shops are going to go away. And those companies, now that they have you, are going to jack your prices up. They're going to pull a Walmart, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. Walmart does this all the time. They go into locations, they build Walmarts on every corner for the convenience. And as soon as every other local shop is out, they get rid of all the shops that are not performing. And now you have to drive to wherever their big, massive shops are. And we're going to see that in the hobby if we're not careful. You're going to see just a bunch of big manufacturers, but more importantly, you're not going to see a lot of new people getting in the hobby because they're going to have no place to go, to ask questions, to come in for advice. I mean, I probably spend half my day answering questions at the store, and I don't mind it. Everything from how do I use a static grass? How do I do this? How do I do that? How do I do a lake? How do I do a tree? If I'm not there, they may or may go online and try to figure it out, or they might just say, there's other stuff I can do. And if we go 5-6 years later, those hobbies start to go. And those manufacturers have overhead, and they start to go. And it is a very slippery slope. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen. That's why you have to change. And that's why we're doing what we're doing, because we are not just going to be selling hobbies. We're going to be selling fun. We're going to sell a experience. So even if you don't come to the store and buy anything, you're going to get that experience. So it should be a lot of fun. Anyways, guys, kind of went on a long rant, just almost an hour and a half. Jeez, I talk too much. So that being said, again, you can follow us on social media. It'll either be under Above Top Secret Hobbies. It'll be under ATS Hobbies. Westside Trains and all that will be active, but you'll start seeing Google, all this stuff will be changing sometime in September. As we move forward, you'll see banners out the side in the store. We'll start changing the imagery. It takes time to get everything. We have to go in stages because of business licensing and attorneys, and there's just a lot involved. And this is something, again, we started 1.5 years ago that we were already planning to do this. I expected that we were going to be launching everything a few months ago, but again, we had some opportunities that popped up. So we are starting it in September. We're going to slowly start rolling it out. Hope you guys, enjoy it. And, the guys, people say that, listen, I get shopping online. I get shopping on eBay. I totally get that. Okay. Sometimes you just can't get something, I get it, but ask yourself this, and I want to challenge everybody. If a majority of your sales is coming from online, you're the problem. Look in the mirror. Don't blame the hobby shop. They're just trying to survive. You're the problem. We're not asking you as a hobby shop to come buy everything from us. You just can't. But change your habits. Take 10%, 15% and say, you know what? Let me see if I can get this from my local hobby shop. Might cost me an extra 50 cents, or you know what? I might actually have to make a drive out there. But to know that they're still there, not for you. This is what you have to understand. When you cut first in the hobby, you're learning. And then as you get more proficient, you start shopping online for deals, this and that. I get it. What you're doing when you come and actually shop, even a little bit in the store, you're supporting the next generation. That's what you don't understand. And without that next generation, at some point you won't have a hobby. Just think about that. So hobby shops are not asking. We understand we can't carry everything. And there's stuff. So we're not asking you to buy every single product from us. All we're asking is, as I think, and this goes for a lot of hobby shops, give us a chance. see what kind of price we can, at least call us and say, hey, I can get this for this price. Well, I can't do that price, but I'm within about $5. And go, you know what? That $5 is worth the convenience of having a store down my street. Just saying. Just saying. Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, for me, I hope everybody at least understands, gets a better perspective from a hobby shop owner. You know, like I said, I wouldn't do it again. I wouldn't buy a store now. I wouldn't start a store. It would be ridiculous to spend $1 million to start a store. For the fact that you're not going to make any money for a couple years. Maybe if you have a partner and the two of you go in knowing you'll split the hours, because, you know, the behind the scenes stuff, the paperwork, the inventory, getting stuff up on the website, it's not magic. Somebody has to do it. And if you're a big store and you're making a lot of money, you can hire a few additional people. But then there goes some of your profit. So again, you're going to get your hands dirty. Not everybody wants to get their hands dirty. So hopefully, guys, we're going to see you coming down to Above Top Secret Hobbies in the future as we move forward. Again, you can go to Above Top Secret Hobbies on YouTube. We'll be dropping probably, I think, 5 o'clock at night every Sunday. We'll drop a new episode. And then on our TikTok and as well as some of our social media, we'll start incorporating AI and some of our characters we're going to bring out that you can see them feature products, which is going to be cool. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this, you know, rebranding of the store. It's something, like I said, that was behind the scenes for almost a year and a half. And trust me, there was a lot of misinformation on my part over the last year and a half. And there was a reason for it. And so now that my competition knows kind of the direction we're going with the store, you know, I know the ones who support me. I know the ones who recommend me for everything, not just for a couple items, for everything. But I also know as we start carrying products that completely go against what, you know, go with what they're selling, they'll probably never recommend me. And that's fine. If that happens, I'm still recommending them, because I truly think if I don't have something and you can recommend another store, that's great. But those that got on my bad side over the last year and a half, trust me when I tell you the bitch is back. Oh yeah. And I'm going to start running my companies the way I ran my companies in the Northeast, and everybody should be very, very afraid. And that's why Agent T is a perfect image for the direction we're heading. So anyways, guys, I want to thank you all for coming down here and seeing the store. Seeing our new rebrand and the direction we're going. And, you know, hopefully we catch you at Above Top Secret as we go forward. Ta-ta. Agent T signing off.